Alright folks, settle in, maybe grab a flashlight. Not because it's actually dark where you are probably, but for ambiance. Thanks for tuning in, and today we're diving headfirst or perhaps cautiously tiptoeing into the volunteer state. Welcome to our spine-chilling journey through the most haunted locations in Tennessee. We're talking places with reputations so spooky, they make a tax audit look like a day at Dollywood. We'll be sifting through the stories, the whispers, and the outright nope, I'm outta here moments that these locations are famous for. Tennessee, it turns out, isn't just about country music and whiskey. It's also apparently a hotspot for things that go bump, or moan, or perhaps just rearrange your keys in the night. Prepare yourself for ghostly tales and eerie encounters as we explore these haunted places. We're going to look at the history, the legends, and the evidence, if you can call a cold spot evidence. I remain, as always, a beacon of questionable skepticism. So, buckle up your ghost hunting belts, or just your regular belts, that's fine too. We're about to embark on a tour of some of Tennessee's most notorious haunts. From angry witches in caves to phantom thespians who refuse to leave the stage, this state has a spectral smorgasbord to offer. Will we find definitive proof of the paranormal? Probably not. Will we have a good time exploring these creepy corners and hearing some unsettling stories? Absolutely. Let's get this spooky show on the road. First up on our ghostly itinerary is the Bell Witch Cave. Located near Adams, Tennessee, it's home to one of America's most famous hauntings. The story begins in the early 19th century with the Bell family. Strange animal sightings and knocking sounds started the trouble. The entity quickly escalated its activities. The Bell family experienced physical torment. The entity identified itself as Kate Batts, a former neighbor. Kate had a vendetta against John Bell. Even Andrew Jackson reportedly visited. Jackson and his men were spooked and left quickly. John Bell Sr. died in 1820, with the witch taking credit. The witch's activity lessened but promised to return. The haunting shifted to the cave on the Bell property. Visitors report disembodied voices, noises, and cold spots. Some claim to hear whispers or cackling laughter. Tour guides share personal anecdotes of strange occurrences. The cave has an inherently eerie quality. The darkness and echoing silence contribute to the atmosphere. Nearly 2 centuries of terrifying stories add to the creepiness. People bring ghost hunting tools, hoping to capture evidence. Some historians suggest the phenomenon could have been a hoax. Richard Powell, a friend of Betsy Bell, was often suspected, but the legend persists, stronger than ever. Books, movies, and documentaries keep the Bell Witch alive. Eyewitness accounts from the 19th century give the story gravitas. Is the cave truly haunted or just a local legend? I lean towards a good story, but I wasn't there in 1817. The Bell Witch legend is a must-visit for Tennessee's haunted history. It's a cornerstone of American ghost lore, a chilling tale that refuses to fade away. Next on our spectral tour, we head to Memphis to a place a little more glamorous, a little more theatrical. I'm talking about the Orpheum Theater. The Orpheum we see today opened in 1928, but its history as a performance venue on that spot goes back even further to the Grand Opera House in the 1890s. The star of the Orpheum's ghostly cast is a spirit affectionately known as Mary. Legend has it that Mary was a young girl, perhaps around 12 years old, who was struck and killed by a streetcar right outside the theater back in the 1920s. Mary is reportedly a rather benign spirit, not your malevolent hair-pulling type like our friend Kate. Staff and performers over the years have reported seeing a young girl in period clothing, often in the balcony, particularly in seat C5. This seat is often left empty during performances out of respect, or perhaps just to avoid any awkward spectral seat-stealing situations. The reported encounters with Mary are varied. Some people claim to see her fleetingly, a flicker out of the corner of their eye. Others have heard a child's laughter or the sound of small footsteps when no one is around. Doors are said to open and close on their own, lights flicker, and objects are sometimes moved. One common story involves performers feeling a tug on their costumes or props being misplaced just before they're needed on stage. The Orpheum Theater has fully embraced its haunted reputation. They even host official ghost tours. During these tours, and even during regular operations, people have captured alleged evidence, EVPs with faint whispers, orbs and photographs, and those ever-elusive cold spots. It's not just Mary who supposedly haunts the Orpheum, though she's definitely the headliner. Some reports mention other, less defined entities. Given the theater's long history, including a fire that destroyed the original opera house on the site, it wouldn't be surprising if other spectral hangers-on decided to stick around. The architecture of the Orpheum itself lends to the spooky atmosphere. It's a beautifully restored movie palace with lavish decorations, velvet seats, and grand balconies. These old, ornate buildings just feel like they should be haunted. So if you find yourself at the Orpheum Theater in Memphis, enjoying a Broadway show or a concert, take a moment to glance up at the balcony, specifically at seat C5. You might just catch a glimpse of Mary, enjoying the performance alongside you. Chapter 3. The Tennessee State Prison, Lockdown with the Departed. Our next stop is the Tennessee State Prison in Nashville. This Gothic-style prison, opened in 1898, has a troubled history. Designed for 800 inmates, it quickly became overcrowded, leading to harsh conditions and death. Executions, disease, and violence were rampant. Closed in 1992, it's now a decaying monument to a dark past. The prison is said to be haunted by spirits. Reports include disembodied screams, phantom footsteps, and shadowy figures. The atmosphere is one of despair and unrest. The spirits are a chilling echo of the past. Chapter 4. Rutherwood Mansion, A Legacy of Sorrow and Spite. Our next haunted destination takes us to Kingsport, to the Rutherwood Mansion. This antebellum beauty, perched overlooking the Holston River, has a history as dramatic and tragic as any Southern Gothic novel. The most prominent ghost story associated with Rutherwood centers around a figure known as the Lady in White, or sometimes Rowena, who is said to be the spirit of Ross's daughter. The legend goes that Rowena was forced into a loveless marriage by her father. Despondent, she either drowned herself in the Holston River on her wedding day or shortly thereafter, or died of a broken heart. Whatever the exact cause, her tragic end is said to have tethered her spirit to the mansion, where she's seen wandering the halls and grounds, eternally sorrowful. But Rowena isn't the only spirit said to inhabit Rutherwood. Frederick Ross himself, despite being a minister, had a reputation for being a cruel slave owner. Some stories claim that the spirits of slaves who suffered and died under his ownership also haunt the property, their anguish forever imprinted on the land. The juxtaposition of a beautiful mansion with such a grim history is potent. The original mansion burned down in the mid-19th century, but it was rebuilt, and it's this second iteration of Rutherwood that stands today, carrying the weight of the old legends. Reports of paranormal activity are numerous and varied. Visitors and residents over the years have claimed to see the apparition of Rowena, often described as a melancholic figure in a white gown, sometimes near the riverbank or looking out of windows. Her presence is usually accompanied by feelings of sadness or despair. Other reported phenomena include disembodied voices, unexplained cold spots, and the sounds of crying or moaning, particularly in areas associated with the former slave quarters or the basement. Objects are said to move on their own, and doors and windows have been known to open or close without explanation. The history of Rutherwood is complex. Frederick Ross, after a religious conversion, actually freed his slaves and became an abolitionist, which complicates the narrative of him as a purely villainous figure. However, the stories of cruelty from the earlier period persist, and the folklore surrounding the mansion often focuses on these darker aspects. Chapter 5. The Sensabaugh Tunnel screams in the darkness. For our final stop, we're heading to the Sensabaugh Tunnel near Kingsport. This short, dark tunnel is a legendary haunted hotspot. Built in the 1920s, it allows a road to pass under a railway line. Local legends tell of Mr. Sensabaugh, who allegedly murdered his family and threw their bodies into the tunnel. People report hearing a baby crying, a woman screaming, or maniacal laughter. Some even claim to see shadowy figures or experience car troubles near the tunnel. The oppressive atmosphere and chilling legends make it a terrifying experience. Chapter 6. Wrapping up our Tennessee ghost hunt, for now. Well, there you have it, folks. Our whirlwind tour through some of Tennessee's most notoriously spooky spots. From the aggressive antics of the Bell Witch, to the mournful presence at Rutherwood and the sheer, unadulterated creepiness of the Sensabaugh Tunnel, it's clear the volunteer state has more than its fair share of lingering spirits, or at least, some incredibly persistent stories. Thanks for joining us on this eerie adventure through Tennessee's most haunted locations. I hope you're not watching this alone in the dark. Or maybe I do. Adds to the fun, right? We've delved into history, sifted through legends, and pondered the what-ifs of the paranormal. Did we find definitive proof? Well, no, that's rarely how these things go, especially when you're just talking about it from a comfy chair. But the tales themselves are compelling. offering a fascinating, if unsettling glimpse into the folklore and anxieties of the past and present. These stories stick around for a reason, whether it's a genuine haunting or just a really good yarn that taps into our collective fascination with the unknown and the macabre. So what do you think? Are these places truly haunted? Or are they just old buildings and dark tunnels with a lot of spooky marketing? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-tingling tales, or, more of me talking about spine-tingling tales with a healthy dose of skepticism. And definitely share your own ghost stories in the comments below. If you've had an encounter in Tennessee or anywhere else for that matter, I'd love to hear about it. Until next time, try not to listen too closely to the bumps in the night. It's probably just the house settling, probably.